Hi, how's everyone? I hope you are doing great. Today is the first of many videos that I will be making that will share the truth. I'd like to talk about numerology and repeated numbers. And I feel like that is the most important topic to talk about right now. Due to COVID, we usually are at home, and I've noticed that, not just that I've noticed, but I mean, if you look around yourself, everyone's on their phones, everyone's just on their laptops, just looking down on their cell phone. It's gotten to the point where we do it whenever we are in an uncomfortable situation for work, or whether we have to do it for education purposes or just to relax. We watch Netflix or whatever the case that we do to relax. I thought it was very important to share with you what numerology means, just because I also have been seeing a lot of numbers, and this was about when COVID first started happening. A year ago, I was in a very dark place. It was constantly crying, and it was just feeling horrible about myself and feeling like there was nothing that I could do about my situation. And I remember I would cry myself to sleep. And I would cry so much that my eyes the next day would be swollen. It was rough, but it's nothing to be ashamed about, because I know that there are some of you that have done the same, but yet we don't like to talk about it. And why is that? Stuff like that shows us that there's something going on, there's something wrong, and we need to know the reasons behind them. And so when I started seeing numbers, the first number that I used to see a lot was 1111, and I would continue seeing it throughout my day, and also those nights that I would be crying, it would definitely be 1111. I would see it persistently, whether I was walking on the street or whether it was, I looked at the time and it said 1111, or it could have been a license plate had the numbers. And then I started seeing other numbers like 222, 333, 444, 555, 777, 999, you name it. There was just a whole bunch of numbers that I was seeing. And so I did something like everyone else has done, because I've heard of people also viewing and searching for what this means. And so a lot of people go on YouTube and they search up, what does this number mean, or what can I do to know more about this? And so a lot of people associate numerology and repeated number being angel numbers. They start off by talking about what it is and what it means, but the reality is that seeing those repeated numbers are a way that God is communicating with us. A lot of times people won't say that. Instead, they'll say, oh, the universe is sending you signs. But it's not the universe, because if it was the universe, who created the universe? The universe was created by God. He created light and he created darkness and day and night, you know? So what does it mean when God is sending us signs? Well, it could be in a time when you're hurting. It could be in a time where you're in need of change, you're in need of healing, or maybe it's just him reaching out to tell you that he's there for you. Whatever situation you're in, whether it's you don't have a lot of friends, or maybe you just got over a breakup, or maybe problems at home, maybe you're having problems financially, maybe you're having problems with yourself, whatever the case may be, God sends us these numbers so that we can be aware that he's present and he's sending us messages so that we're able to be comforted and know that you're not alone. The reason why angel numbers are specifically sent by God is because if you look at languages, you can see that languages change. I speak Spanish and English, but I don't speak, other language. I can't understand it. I'm not physically able to understand because I was never raised with that language. Whatever language you are able to decipher, God is still sending us messages. For example, when we see time, it has a colon, the two little dots. So the colon is universal. If you think about it, even the Bible has colons to show you the Bible verse. So when you look at your time, there's a number, and then there's a colon, and then another number. So the same way God talks to us in the Bible is also through the same concept of a chapter and a verse. So in that matter, it's the same. I'd like to share with you all some Bible verses that help show that this is true. So the first verse that I'd like to read is Genesis 11:5-8, and it says that Adonai came down to see the city and the tower that the sons of man had built, Adonai said, "Look, the people are one and all of them have the same language. So this is what they have begun to do. Now nothing they plan will be impossible. Come, let us go down and confuse their language there, so that they will not understand each other's language." So Adonai scattered them from there over the face of the entire land, and they stopped building the city. This is why it is named Babel, because Adonai confused the languages of the entire world there, and from there Adonai scattered them over the face of the entire earth. So basically what this is letting us know is that in the beginning everyone had the same language, and due to that man started building a city, and the city was made out of hard bread and clay, or I think, but they started building buildings, and so Adonai was not in favor of that, and due to that he decided to intervene and cause everyone to have a different language. Now what this is trying to let us know is that we are always supposed to be in nature. We were never supposed to be in cities, in a world where there's full of architecture and full of things that can make us distracted. And so due to that he changed our language. But just because he changed our language does not mean that he does not give us messages. He knew that we were going to have different languages, and because of that he gave us a way to universally communicate with us, and that is through, like I said, the colon, because the same chapters and verses have the colon, and time does too. So yeah, that's how I know that it is messages from God. The second Bible verse that I'd like to share with you all is Ezekielist. I'm not sure how you say it, but I will definitely provide it typed. 4:11, and it says, "He has made everything beautiful in its time. Moreover, he has set in eternity in their heart, yet without the possibility that humankind can ever discover the work that God has done from the beginning to the end." He is aware that we're in this time period right now. We're in a time where social media and technology has advanced, and he knows exactly that a lot of us are on our phones, and a lot of us are on our laptops or just watching TV, and technology has taken up a lot of our lives. So because he knows that that was our time period that we're in now, that means that he also was aware of the beginning and the end, and he knows that this is going to happen, and so he still wants to reach out to us in any way that he can to show that he is always present, no matter what time period it is, no matter what time frame we're in. Again, using the colon through time and through his word, we're able to see that God communicates with us. So if we know that these messages are being sent by God, how exactly do we interpret them? How do we know what exactly it means? The way that has helped me, in some ways I can give advice to you all, is to keep a journal to observe your thoughts. So when you're outside or wherever you are and you have your phone with you, you can always, write them down in the notes exactly at the moment that you're thinking, or you see a repeated number. At that exact moment, write down your thoughts. Whatever you were thinking about, write them down, because maybe the message that God is telling you is directly correlated with exactly what you're thinking of. Maybe it's something that you're stressed out about, or maybe it's something that you're worried about, and that specific number is associated with its answer. Besides that, if you're still unaware of what these numbers mean, you can always pray to God to tell him to reveal to you what these numbers are exactly meaning. I can tell you what 1111 means this, or 222 means that, but I can't, because every message is directly correlated with our lives. It is our relationship with God himself. So because of that, I cannot tell you what 1111 means to you. 1111 has a different meaning to me than to you. But what I can do is to show you an example of my own interpretations of what these numbers mean. And I wrote them down in my notes, and I'm going to share right now. So for me, 333 means you must put in the work, even when it seems exhausting and pointless. 333 to me also means be yourself. 1010 means security, wanting safety, and to trust the process. 444 means pain, physical, mentally, emotionally. The message is you're not alone. And it also happens to me when I have a aha moment. So it's like when I realize something, usually 444 occurs. 1111 for me means I approve of what you want. I'm with you to support you to reach it and get it. Besides numbers, there's other ways that God communicates with us, such as signs and nature. And I'm sure there's plenty of other ways that God communicates with us, and I can definitely talk about it in another video, but I want to center around numbers and a little bit on signs. When I started seeing repeated numbers a year ago, I also started seeing confirmations and signs like red cardinals. That was my number one other sign that I would continue seeing. If you search up what cardinals mean, basically are between the spiritual realm and the physical realm, and usually they're messengers of God. So red cardinals to me was an affirmation that whatever I prayed for, whatever that I wanted or worried about, it was confirmation that I was never alone and that I should stop worrying because my prayers were being heard. Whatever other confirmations are, just be aware of your surroundings. Always look at the signs, always see that you're not alone, and that the numbers that you're seeing means that God is with you and He hasn't left you. So the next time that you see any numbers, remember that they're messages being sent by God. Make sure that you are observing your thoughts, and make sure that you right away jot them down or you're typing them down, because those basically receiving answers to the problems that you have. I'd also like to share and close off with this last verse, and it is in Revelations 22:13. I am the Alpha and the Omega, the first and the last, the beginning and the end. So just know that He is beyond time and He is always with you, and God be with you all. Also, side note, when I said Adonai, that's just another name for God, basically. That you guys should be aware. No way I'm talking or referring to another God. I just say Adonai because the Bible that I have is the Tree of Life version, which is this one, and has a little bit of Hebrew in it, and Adonai in Hebrew means Father. I hope this was helpful and that it helped you see the perspective on angel numbers differently. Thank you.